You're listening to the Growing On podcast, where we dig into the heart of Georgia agriculture. Each episode, we explore the people, stories, and issues shaping the fields, farms, and food that keep our state growing strong. From the latest in ag policy and innovation to timeless farming traditions, we're here to keep you informed and inspired. Here's your host, John Holcomb.
All right, I am in Fayette County today with Kari Creamer and Rebecca Jacobs, two of my work pals from Farm Bureau. First off, how are you guys? Or how are you gals? Sorry.
We're great. Yes, doing good. Glad to see you, John.
They're a little nervous, full disclosure, but it's all going to be fine. So Kari is District 5 Federation Manager for GFB, and Rebecca, you were District 3, correct?
Correct.
Good, okay. Got those out of the way, so we're good. So I thought this would be kind of cool to do a Behind the Bureau segment. Katie Duvall, that used to help me with the podcast, actually used to do these at the home office or with at least Farm Bureau staff. So I wanted to kind of bring it back in and kind of do kind of a steer from our normal content. Instead of talking ag, let's talk about Farm Bureau. Let's meet the staff, essentially. So I have several questions for you guys about what you do and your backgrounds and whatnot, but I want y'all first to introduce yourself. So whoever wants to go first, feel free.
I am Kari Creamer. I live in Upson County in a little town called The Rock, Georgia. A lot of people may or may not have heard of that. I looked up the population today, and it is 109 people.
Ooh.
So we are
3 digits.
We are booming.
Is that more than last year?
It has gone up 10.
Wow.
Ooh. That's like a yeah.
But I am the District 5 Federation Manager, which is made up of 17 counties. Upson County is right in the middle of my district. So my district goes all the way over to the Alabama line, and then goes east to Monticello, up to Noonan, and down to Reynolds. I don't know why I forgot that, but I did. But I've been with Farm Bureau for 6 years this month.
Wow.
Time flies. What else do you want to know?
That's cool. All right, but Rebecca, what about you?
Hi, I'm Rebecca Jacobs. I live in Rockmart, Georgia, which is in Polk County, which is in the extreme northwest part of District 3. So I serve the 14 counties in the greater Atlanta area, which presents some unique challenges, but also a lot of opportunities within Farm Bureau. I was a volunteer turned employee, and I've been with Farm Bureau for 8 years now, and have had a lot of great opportunities and enjoy working with the other staff, and the counties within my district have established a lot of good relationships, and I think that's one of the things that I love most about Farm Bureau.
Awesome. What year? 8 years. So what year did you start?
I started in 2017.
Oh, I mean, you both look at that.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I thought you had been there a little bit longer than me, but I started in August, so maybe you.
I was June, so I just beat you. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Anyways, thank y'all. Thank y'all for letting me join you guys today. We're actually in Rebecca's district. Fayette is in Rebecca's district. So explain, but I want y'all to talk about y'all's jobs, what y'all do. For someone out there that doesn't really maybe know the ins and outs of Farm Bureau, what does a district federation manager do? Whoever wants to go.
It's kind of a big title,
Okay.
but I would say at our very core, we are the relationship between the home office and the counties, and we work to support them in all the things that they're doing, whether that be ag programs, literacy programs, ag legislation, all the things that they do at the grassroots level. We support them through our home office resources, support, encourage, and provide resources to them, so that they can be successful and continue to fulfill the mission of the greater organization.
So you're all like liaisons, essentially. Cool.
Yep.
Yeah, I like to say we're the arm out of home office to the districts. We also work with the office managers in each county. We supervise them, help them with the programs that Rebecca just talked about. We help the county set their budgets each year. And it is starting to be budget season. But yeah, we'll work closely with the county president and the office managers on that and the boards to kind of set the tone for the year.
Okay.
But the biggest thing we do is work with the counties to advocate for ag in Georgia.
Awesome. So I want to talk about y'all. Before we get into more of that, I do want to touch on y'all's backgrounds, because you said you were a volunteer, or you were a volunteer, sorry, before you became a staffer with Farm Bureau. You were with Extension, Kari, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
I was a 4-H agent for almost 5 years in Bibb County.
Okay.
I grew up in 4-H in Rockdale County, so I had a background in that. I was a summer camp counselor in college, and then I was a program assistant for a little bit in Baldwin County, and then eventually a 4-H agent in Bibb County. And I loved 4-H. I love Extension, but that's actually how I got connected to Farm Bureau. I was doing programming with Bibb County, the local office in Bibb County, and then this position opened up. So here I am.
Awesome.
Yay.
You can't have a 4-H or FFA or Extension, I feel like, without somebody, a Farm Bureau, either sponsoring it or something. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Volunteer-wise, what were you doing with, how are you volunteering?
So at the time, I was a stay-at-home mom.
Okay.
My daughter was 6, and my son was like 1.5. And Bennett and I, my husband, had been just very active, served on the board in Polk County, Young Farmer Chairs there, and actually were serving on the state committee when Ricky Lane, who was my predecessor, ended up retiring, and the job came open. But at the time, I was doing a lot of ag in the classroom. I just felt really passionate about that. It allowed me an opportunity to be in the school where my daughter was at. My husband also teaches agriculture, so that was just like a natural path for me, was to get involved with ag in the classroom, and just. It allowed me the opportunity to get to know a lot of people. It also provided personal development opportunities. And so I was really grateful for that role, and kind of shocked when this position came open and found myself interested in it.
Cool. Now, did y'all both have agricultural backgrounds beforehand? Did you grow up, Kari, did you grow up on a farm or anything? Or did you just, how did you
I didn't. Like I said, I grew up in 4-H, and it was through 4-H where I guess got involved with ag.
Okay.
I remember my 4-H agent coming to me my sophomore year of high school and saying we needed a team member for the poultry judging team. And I was like, I like to eat chicken. But it was through poultry judging that I learned about poultry, and I held a chicken for the first time. My parents were both school teachers, so and we lived in Rockdale County. We didn't live on a farm, but I've always been interested in it, and I've had a love for it. And when I was in Bibb County as a 4-H agent, my biggest passion was teaching those kids where their food comes from, because you'd go in a classroom of 5th graders and you'd say, where's your burger come from? And they say McDonald's or Kroger, and we're like, no, before that, and just really breaking that down for them, and them understanding truly where their food came from.
Awesome. Did you have an ag background, Rebecca?
Not necessarily. My grandparents were involved in agriculture, but I grew up in a very metropolitan area, but always felt very connected to nature, and wanted to be living maybe a more country life, I guess you could call it. Cool. And my husband was born and raised on a beef cattle farm in Rockmart, and so when we met, that was in college, and so we weren't actively here working on that farm, but lived in Washington for a few years where I grew up, and then just looked at each other one day and we're like, what are we doing? We want land. We want to be connected to nature. And so we moved back to my husband's family farm, which is where we live now. And we have beef cattle. So we've been, we bought our first group of cows in 2011. My daughter had just been born, so we've been in the industry for a little while, but just always knew that I wanted to be more connected to it, and have the opportunity to involve myself more in agriculture. I could have never predicted how that would actually happen, but it fell into my lap, and I think God has a lot of that plan laid it out for me, and I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, it's kind of neat. I grew up kind of similar, in a sense of I grew up on a farm though, and I kind of distanced myself, not on purpose or intentionally, just I wanted to work in TV, and then it just kind of happened. Like, kind of funny how things kind of land in your lap, and here I am.
The best of both worlds.
I know, right? Yeah. It's funny. I talked the other day to someone. I was like, I grew up around cows, and when I see a cow, I still say, "Oh my God, there's a cow." I don't know why. I think I always will. I just love to see animals, farm animals, and I love animals of all kinds. So, anyways, sorry that was a little bit of a skirt. But okay, so back to the DFM roles. You guys talked about your like an arm or an extension of the home office to the counties, and y'all both. You said you have 17 counties in your district, Kari. How many do you have in yours? I forget.
I have 14.
You have 14. Mm-hmm. You say you help, manage or help with the office managers and stuff. How challenging is that? Just because I feel like whenever you hear that, that's just a lot. And Georgia's huge, and so not like I just feel like that's what does that entail? I guess whenever you say that.
I mean, just basics. It's a lot of HR,
Okay.
Timesheet management, reminding them of deadlines, making sure they're communicating the programs from home office to their counties.
Gotcha.
And just supporting them if they're doing a program. Their boards are made up of a lot of times full-time farmers or people who are working full-time and aren't able to come to their programs. So if we can go and support them while they're in a classroom with an activity, just being that support for them and that cheerleader in a sense. A lot of the office managers may or may not, for the most part, may not have an ag background either. And they're learning just as much as the kids are learning. So just being that support for them.
Yeah, it's a lot of like professional development for them too, talking them through the budget process and financial statements and accounting. A lot of them have had like some sort of admin background, but some of the roles are new to them, and just making sure that they fully understand and helping them to come into their own where they feel comfortable and confident with that, and being able to provide that information to the board to make good decisions with. A lot of what we do is, just regular management, like Kari mentioned, time cards. A lot of our time is spent hiring new employees. With 14 counties, I have 31 employees. So there's a good bit of turnover in the metro area. So a lot of my, job looks like reviewing resumes and meeting new people and trying to find the best candidate that's going to get along with the board, that's going to be a good fit in the office, and somebody who is willing to learn the programs and be involved in agriculture even if they don't have a background in that.
Cool. So I just hit me because whenever you said metro, you do have, Rebecca, you have a ton of metro counties. I mean, how many of them are considered metro?
I would say 11. So Carroll, Haralson, and Polk are probably my most rural counties, and I would consider everybody else a metro Atlanta county.
What's the difference whenever you're like in those counties, the different programs and involvement? Is it drastically different, or is it kind of similar in a baseline stance?
Yeah, they all have the things that they're more interested in, which is, I think that goes back to them being grassroots. So their counties all have different opportunities and restrictions to the challenges that they have to work against. So, there's a lot of ag in the classroom done in the metro area, which I think is a great thing. We have, a lot of schools. I think Cobb County's got 62 just in that one county. Just that's 62 elementary schools.
There's 62 elementary schools in Cobb County.
Yes.
You're joking.
No. I
like,
wish. Yeah, no, there's a lot. So it's an opportunity.
Just about choked over there.
Well, I mean, think about it from the county's perspective too. That's a lot of children to reach, right? And there's like only so many volunteers. So just trying to be cognizant of our time and how we can be really intentional about reaching all those students. But, we do have the most amount of people in our area, which I guess that just means the more people that we can communicate the story of agriculture and how important it is to support ag. So there's a lot of ag in the classroom. We try to be connected to our legislators because there's a vast majority of legislators in that area as well. The more rural counties tend to be, have more close relationships with their legislators just because there aren't as many.
Right.
But, my counties do take that really seriously, that challenge to try to make sure that those legislators who are probably not connected to agriculture or living on a farm necessarily understand the importance of agriculture to, the people in our state and the economy especially.
Gotcha. Your county, obviously, where you have 109 people in your town,
Yes.
You're more rural, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I was sitting here thinking in my district, just to paint the picture of the differences in 3 and 5, my most populated cities and counties would be Noonan, which is in Coweta County, which borders District 3, and then Muskogee County, which is Columbus. But even those counties probably only have like 15 elementary schools, and the rest of my district would probably have 1 elementary school, 1 middle, and 1 high school. And some of those counties have combined middle and high schools. So like all the kids go to,
That's funny.
so we are more rural in my district than
We say this all the time, but as a staff, when we get together and as DFMs talking about things that we're doing in our districts, we say it like every county is different. Every district is so different. They all have their own dynamics, and that can be challenging at times. But, I think because we have people who have really invested, I say DFMs, who have invested in their counties, they know the differences, and we're able to then utilize their strengths better and work within like what is best for that county, where do we need to focus our efforts. And that's a big part of our job too, just identifying where we can be helpful and use our influence.
So when you say things like, and I'm sincerely asking because I'm very much intrigued, I really am. I'm not being sarcastic.
You need to come with us for a day on the job.
When you said, I lost you for a hot, probably 10 seconds when you said 62 elementary schools in Cobb County.
I think Gwinnett has more. And
Gwinnett is the biggest.
And Fulton has, they've got, I don't even know, I think 89
That's
maybe
crazy.
in Gwinnett.
That's crazy.
Not to talk about 4-H again, but Gwinnett has the largest 4-H program in the state because they have the highest number of enrollment.
Oh,
because
just the
probably
population, yeah.
the population and the number of elementary schools in Gwinnett.
What is the statistic? Because we talk about it when we do like I Farm My Vote stuff. Of the 5 major metro counties holds almost 50% of Georgia's population. It's crazy. I think Georgia's population now is 11.5 million.
I'm going to trust you on that.
I
I don't
think
know.
It's projected to be 13 by 2035,
Wow.
I think.
It's a popular place. People want to move here.
So, I guess going back to that fact of just the differences, I guess, especially in your county. But agriculture is in every county. And we do have Georgia Farm Bureau does have a county office in all those counties. When it comes to like important things, obviously Farm Bureau is a grassroots organization. When it comes to the important part of that business of helping with policy development and helping get the message out, how involved, I guess, or how challenging would probably be the better way to put it, especially for you, Rebecca, whenever you're in those counties that is more city focused or more metro focused, of getting people that are involved and keeping those people active. That makes sense? That question makes sense? Okay.
Yeah, I think it can be intimidating,
Okay.
Especially when we're talking about legislators. Schools, usually our volunteers have some sort of connection. They might know a teacher that's in a school. It's easier to kind of find our way into that environment. But especially meeting with legislators, I feel like when people get involved legislatively, they're nervous that they don't know enough, that they don't have all the facts or whatever. And that doesn't necessarily matter as much as just making the relationship and then being able to know that person like on a first name basis, where if there is something that's important that we're advocating for, that then we can reach out to them. So we don't have to know everything. It's just about having the relationship and being able to start that communication with them. So finding people that are willing to do that. And, just like our counties are different, our volunteers are very different too. So some of them may be really nervous and not want to participate in legislative events, but they love ag in the classroom, or vice versa. Some of them really love the political activity that they can be involved in. So also, like, as DFMs, we're constantly like kind of reading our people for like what they would be good at, what opportunities we could provide to them, and how to encourage them to continue that growth and like reach out a little further, and knowing, okay, this opportunity would be best filled by this volunteer, and then creating that messaging and that opportunity for them.
Cool. Are y'all like, y'all help like with our programs, like our women's leadership? I'm assuming y'all are very involved with helping get those people involved. If you see someone that has a lot of potential or is a good fit for maybe something that you're wanting, right?
Yeah. So DFMs, we kind of pick out the next district women's leadership chair or the district young farmer chair. And I say pick out, but we kind of are the encourager of those, and those individuals will serve on our state committees for 2 years. But getting, sometimes the volunteer may be really nervous, and, what's the expectation? And, but if they have the servant heart and they want to grow Georgia Farm Bureau through their district and state involvement, then they're going to be a good fit. But the DFMs are kind of that, okay, we've got these people who would be interested in that eventually, and we kind of motivate, encourage, hey, your application was due 2 days ago.
Yeah, we kind of fill in all the holes, right?
Gotcha.
So like making sure that people are getting signed up for all the conferences that we provide. We're just kind of the worker bees behind the scenes, kind of like Kari said, encouraging people and recognizing where there might be a good opportunity for them. So that's not just in field services, all the programs that we offer, but like with public policy also, and helping to encourage people to be active in those programs as well.
For sure. I was talking to Cleve Jackson a couple of days ago, and he made it in. I think we all feel it, and I was going to get y'all's thoughts because y'all are the people. Y'all are more like the boots on the ground, right? You're the arm.
We are.
When it comes to here's my arm. When it comes to of that process of trying to get people motivated or trying to make sure they're aware of everything and trying to get them involved in the organization. Do y'all? What's your thoughts, or what's the most challenging part of that? I guess does that make? Because I feel like he made the point of like, I'm a millennial and Cleve is too, and I think you may be, Kari.
Calling me
Aging
old?
me? Yeah, he didn't even include me.
I am a millennial.
I'm an elder millennial.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I was going down the list
And proud of it.
I didn't want to ask your age, so I was trying to do it the right way. Okay?
Yeah, we would be like, that is not allowed in HR.
So we're all millennials, right? And he made a point of like because of just where you are in life, of maybe you're starting a family, maybe you have younger kids, or millennials their mindset is different than the generation before that is sitting on the boards, majority of sitting on the boards. Do y'all find that challenging whenever you are trying to find those members that you're trying to keep engaged and whatnot? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, as millennials, we all are very busy, and sometimes it comes down to I just can't fit any more in, and then sometimes it's that fear, that nervousness of what's the expectation? Is this going to consume any free time I have? So kind of coaching through that, not applying too much pressure, just enough. But it is hard. We're all going 90 different directions all at once. But the people who serve in our organization have the passion for agriculture, and they want to advocate for agriculture. And if we can just keep them engaged, it starts on the county level. Keep them engaged on the county level, encourage them on the state level. They typically stick around for a little bit.
Yeah, I think as like a population, people who are involved in agriculture are passionate and willing to give of their time. Like if you think back like generations ago, those were the people that were serving on school boards and active in their communities, county commissioners and all of that. So they genuinely, most of the time, have a servant heart. It's just about that time commitment. And like, I think us communicating that you don't have to do it all. Like, here's one thing you can do.
Right.
You don't necessarily have to serve on the board. What if you're just, and I say just, I don't mean it that way, but what if you serve on the women's committee? You're not necessarily the chair. Like, you don't have to be the leader, but just filling a role or a hole in that space that's needed. So just showing them that it doesn't have to be all or nothing. It can be, one small piece that is also very critical to the success of the organization.
Gotcha. Do you feel like whenever you felt that there's a lot of professional development in that role that you guys, yes, you're shaking your head, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's so the reason that I took on this role, because I wasn't really planning on leaving being a stay-at-home mom, but the position came open, and I just got to thinking so much about how my predecessor, Ricky Lane, had created or given me opportunities to develop me as like personally and professionally, and I wanted to be able to do that for other people too. Like, that's what it all comes down to for me, is just being able to help other people in whatever it is their goal is. So I share that passion. I get excited for them when they, are chosen for a state committee role, or they are now on the board, or whatever it is. Like that's where it all started for me, is the professional and personal development and the networking and connections that come from being a part of this organization.
Yeah. You don't really think about it, and not to, like, if you haven't thought about it, I hate to put this on your shoulders. But ultimately our organization and people like you gals, are very much like establishing their next leaders, and it's really a heavy thought to think about, but you guys really are, and it's kind of a great thing that.
And I've thought about that, John, but to me, it's not heavy. It's kind of exciting, and to see someone who comes in and I've only been here 6 years, but to see someone who comes in as a young farmer at 20 and then watch them grow and develop into a potential young farmer chair for the district, it really is. It's exciting. It's kind of an honor to be in this position that has the influence that we have.
Yeah.
It's really fulfilling.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then when I said heavy, it wasn't like sad. Sorry, I don't know if that's how that came.
No,
I mean, like
it's
the weight,
the weight.
the responsibility, I guess.
Yeah, and it's a big weight. But if you heard Rebecca, and like, if you're passionate about this job, and as I am, and Rebecca is, you want the organization to continue. You said it. The population is going to grow. That means more mouths to feed, potentially less farms to grow the food that needs to feed the increase in the population. And I see it like that. I see the big picture of, we've got to continue the advocacy for agriculture. We've got to keep ag as Georgia's #1 industry. And Farm Bureau does that. And if we can have a small part in that in our districts, then that to me is just the coolest part of this job.
I think there's a renewed interest in like the last 10 years in people in agriculture who aren't even farmers. I think especially like after COVID, people wanted to establish that connection to the land and get their hands dirty and just understand what that looks like, and have been more supportive than they might have been in previous years. And so I see that as an opportunity to get people who aren't even, like, who don't have that background even, to involve them and get them talking about agriculture and how important it is, and that it's not necessarily just driving tractors, but there's so many amazing opportunities. 1 in 7 Georgians is employed in agriculture, so there's a spot for everybody. There we can plug you in, whether you're interested in technology or nutrition or growing plants or vegetables or livestock or whatever it is. Like, there's a place for you, and it really is like a neat community. And so I think once people find their way to it, like, they stay because it's a lot of really good, like, salt of the earth people.
Yeah. I mean, like-minded. It came to mind, I think he's in your district, Cam Floyd, a restaurant owner, a chef, and he's since become a very active, I think he's on the Young Farmer and Rancher Committee.
He is.
Serving currently. So I just think I guess that's where I was going to segue next, honestly. And you said, you because of COVID maybe or whatever in the last few years, 10 years or so, you've kind of seen people want to be more interested. Would you say that's probably maybe like is that a challenge though of trying to find people that may not want to serve on a chairmanship role or whatever, but maybe just be a volunteer period? Do y'all find that challenging, or?
I don't think it's challenging. Maybe just finding the right fit for them, based on the county dynamics or what's kind of open at the time, and just making sure that you understand kind of like what they're looking for and their expectations. And I think just a bigger focus, especially in my district, would be making sure that like we're all in ag together, like whether we sell grass-fed or grain-finished or organic or traditional, all these things, like just not segregating ourselves into different parts of that industry, but supporting agriculture as a whole, just continuing that message. I think that might be a more challenging part of things if people are just really focused on one of those segments.
Cool. Is there anything I'm missing about what y'all do, or what is it that you're involved in that you want to mention?
I think we're just in the job of managing people, and we have that servant leader heart. I think as a DFM you have to have that, because all personalities are different. We touched on that earlier. Every county is different. Every volunteer is different. Every county board is different. Every office manager is different. And so you have to just be able to manage all the things, and do it with a happy heart. And that servant leadership is where that comes from.
Yeah, absolutely. Being able to pivot and be flexible, and just constantly looking for like how you can plug people in the way that makes them feel like they're included and they're getting something out of it, and that they have something to do. I think sometimes volunteers, if they don't have something to do, they kind of, withdraw from things. So just making sure that there's continued opportunities or renewed opportunities for them to be involved and feel like they're making a difference, because that's why they join from the get-go, is to make a difference.
Cool.
And I'll just add one more thing. No 2 days are the same as a DFM. And she said you have to be flexible and able to pivot. One day you may be doing budgets in a county, and the next day you're on a farm teaching 1,400 kids about strawberries and peaches. I mean, there is no, and that's another reason why I love this job, because it is not the same every single day. And it truly is a joy to be able to have that flexibility and that enjoyment of doing the programs and the office work too.
Awesome. Well, this has been great. I really did enjoy this, for real. I'm not being sarcastic for the sake of the audience that's listening. I really did enjoy this. So thank y'all both for joining me. I know, Kari, this is not your district, so thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to do this. I think you're about to head to a meeting tonight as well.
I do have a county annual meeting tonight in Taylor County, so
cool.
About 2 hours from here.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I will be here all afternoon, because we have one at 6 too.
Awesome. Well, great. Thank y'all again, and thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening to the Growing On podcast. Be sure to tune in soon for our next episode. Until then, be sure to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast if you haven't done so already.